Hi, I'm Siege from the Puma Podcast team. If you like listening to this show and others created by our team, you can help us keep making them through our PumaPatak tip jar. Our goal is to get 100 of you, our friends, to make a contribution and show your support for the journalism and storytelling that we do. We're happy to keep making shows that you can listen to for free, but making them isn't free. So we appreciate any support you send our way. All you need to do is to go to pumapodcast.com where you'll find a link to the Pumapatak tip jar.
Hi, I'm Carl Javier, CEO of PumaPodcast and co-host of the podcast The Imaginable Workplace. When I look back at 2022, I wind up thinking about how we could use business cultures to make a more progressive culture. Here's the thought for me. Too often, when we develop company policy, we ask, what does the law say? Of course, following the letter of the law is important, but the law is slow. It doesn't update its thinking as quickly as businesses can or should. We need to make sure that we are compliant with the law, yes. But as business leaders, we can be better than that. Instead of aiming for minimum legal compliance, what if we asked what would be best for our teams and our companies? I know that I'm not the only person, entrepreneur, or leader in a company who was disappointed when a number of progressive initiatives were struck down by lawmakers. Progressive values proposed into law that acknowledge, affirm, and are inclusive of the range of gender and sexual identities, that push for same-sex marriage, allow for divorce, give women the right to control their bodies, and more, were shot down under the guise of quote-unquote being a Catholic country. Never mind that those same lawmakers who will appeal to our Catholicism are happy to enable, say, state-sponsored murder, or to excuse corruption, or to glorify babaero politicos. Legislation moves slowly, and with much resistance. Not only do you have to overcome the politicians who cling onto old and traditional beliefs, but you have to go through a culture that would prefer the status quo to any kind of change. No true, genuine social change was ever merely granted or earned. It has always been fought for. And so I think it's an opportunity for me, and for people like me, to influence company policy to advance thinking. In our podcast, The Imaginable Workplace, we've talked about diversity and inclusion.
Diversity is the differences, but inclusion is how you want it to play out, where you have people who feel like they are included and are part of something in that organization.
We have asked, how might we aspire for and build kinder, more inclusive, and more impactful and fulfilling workspaces? As a startup founder, always short on cash, and looking at the ever-approaching end of the runway, I will have to admit that we fall short of the ideal when it comes to traditional compensation and benefits. We do, however, make up for it with a strong work culture, supportive system, and a lot of other intangibles that make us not too bad a place to work, I think. In my experience, making space for everyone's individuality and distinct backgrounds, caring for people, and asking them to bring their whole selves to work has been a winning strategy. Now, I think my call to action is, if we make this the standard, if we allow for more diversity and inclusion in our workplaces, then that will hopefully shift not just our work cultures, but our culture at large. Legislation crawls, but I believe that progressive businesses can run. Maybe it's through getting people to be more open and accepting at work that we can move our country into the kind of place that passes more progressive legislation. Again, I'm Carl Javier, Puma Podcast. This episode was produced by myself and edited by Mark Casillan. Listen to The Imaginable Workplace wherever you get your podcasts. At para sa mga mahilig manood sa YouTube, Puma Podcast na rin po kami doon. Just search Puma Podcast and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for listening.